In today's video, I'll be sharing with you a project that took place in front of our house here. It's the area where our lawn meets the driveway. You have probably seen it in the videos already, but we had some railroad ties that were long overdue to be replaced. In fact, my dad had installed those ties like years ago. I want to say probably at least 30 years ago. So definitely it was time to replace them. They were falling apart. And I'll share with you what we decided to do with the space. So for the longest time we debated, what do we really want to do here? Obviously we needed something to kind of hold the driveway in place because there's enough of a drop where it goes, into the lawn that we actually kind of need almost like a wall here. So earlier this year, even in the winter time yet, we were debating to just build a rock wall. Rock walls are always pretty, but of course you run that risk of things shifting, especially here in Ohio with our winters that we have. And then with vehicles going along the driveway, there's always going to be that risk of, rocks being hit or just things shifting, not staying in place. So we pretty much decided to, go that route. We knew it would take a lot of rocks. You might not be able to tell in the video, but it's a decent sized area here. And with getting, the wall high enough to actually hold the gravel, it would take a lot of rocks. And John is the type, he wants to do it right. Like he would probably dig a footer and, put some gravel down first just to make sure that, things don't shift. But it would be a pretty major project to do this. And then one night in bed, I actually thought up of another idea that we could do here. And I could not wait until morning to tell John about this. I just hoped he would agree because I knew it would be such an awesome idea. I'm actually kind of copying something that Mark and Marlene, my sister, what they did to their property was also on a bank. And they just went ahead and put some rocks, like they put grizzly gravel or that packing gravel in first, and then layered the whole area with rock, just laid on it flat. It wasn't like a wall, it was just, like a rock garden. And then Marlene went ahead and removed some of the rocks and put some dirt in and filled it with rock garden plants. It's the most beautiful place ever, and I'll try to put some clips of her rock garden in here as I'm, mentioning this, but I just thought that would be the greatest idea, and it would be a lot easier. Like it wouldn't take as much time and money, and we have all the rocks here. It really wouldn't be that hard to do it. Just, probably takes some time though. And sure enough, John was on board when I told him the next morning. He also thought it's a good idea, so that's what we are opting to do here. So here's what this looks like without the railroad ties. Definitely much improved already. We plan to put some packing gravel in here. John is actually coming with it right now. And just to kind of hold the bank in place. And then we'll put some stones, kind of fix some stones in there and create our rock garden. So I want to show you guys what this looks like. I'm so impressed. I'm really, really loving this curve in here. He just made the perfect curve, I think. Doesn't that look awesome? And over there on that end, you can kind of tell what it's going to look like, you know, all the way through here. Can't wait to start planting. And I'll probably end up removing some of the rocks and just adding soil for my plants. See how it looks from this way. Ah, so pretty. He's planning on using this packing gravel, kind of fill it in here. He actually wanted to bring the driveway up a bit. And then, you know, bring it down into the, like against the rock border here.
Years ago, I did the oil off and still.
Yeah. We are just loving the look of this. I can't believe how pretty it turned out. And another project we're planning on doing is adding some picket fence along here all the way down to the tree. And then I want a flower bed in front of that. I think it would be a nice, mostly sunny spot to plant some flowers. It's really nice having a sister that has lots of plants. I went out to her house to shop, and I wanted, of course, you know, some plants for the rock garden and then also some for the in front of the picket fence. I'll show you what I have over here. These are plants I got from Marlene. So pretty. Hopefully you guys can hear me over the weed eater. I have coreopsis here, yarrow, daisies, some creeping phlox, and different pinks or dianthus. And I'm not quite sure of the name of these. Marlene had told me and I forget. The tag in here. There we go. Oh, it's a pincushion flower. These are pink mist and some more creeping phlox, agastache, and Shasta daisies here. Phlox, like garden phlox. And I'm pretty sure there's a few more in here, but I'll try to point those out once I've planted them. Over here there's some Veronica and sea thrift. So what I want to do now is arrange my flowers however I want to plant them here in the rock garden. And just kind of lay them out, you know, get my layout, and then I'll remove the rocks wherever I want them to be and fill the soil, or fill the cavity rather, with soil, topsoil. And then I'll be planting the perennial. So let me elaborate just a bit about this picket fence that I had casually mentioned earlier. I have always dreamed of having a picket fence. I mean, this is probably one of the most exciting things that has ever happened to me recently. I know it's probably not that big a deal to most people, something like this, but I always envisioned having a white picket fence with maybe a big tree and a nice, you know, green lawn, and of course some flowers, you know, planted in front of the fence. And I always thought here on our property it's probably not possible. You know, we kind of live on a slope. We don't really have a lot of, you know, flat areas. And I just never really gave it that much thought. But I always loved that look. And then someone from town reached out and asked one of our boys if their mom would want this picket fence. They knew I like to make things with, you know, boards like this. And I, of course, you know, jumped at the chance, and I thought right away, what if I could actually just keep it picket fence and install it somewhere on our property instead of taking it apart and making things with it. And then as we started working on this rock garden, we thought, well, could we actually put a row of picket fence along the edge here where the lawn meets the field and run it all the way down to that big tree. And there I'd have the big tree and the green lawn. It's not, you know, perfectly flat like a big area that I had, you know, maybe envisioned, but I think it's as close as it's going to get. And that's what we're doing here. I'm going to paint it white. Here we are adding some topsoil. It will be a lot easier to plant the perennials if we add a layer of this, being that our soil is really hard and rocky. I like creating an edge when making a new flower bed like this. It's just nice knowing where things, start and stop. And I feel like our soil, being that it is kind of hard and rocky, it does hold an edge better. So our overflow from the spring runs into the front yard pond, and then from there out of this pipe. And it's so handy if I'm working in our vegetable and fruit garden or in this area. I can just get my water here. It's like an open faucet all the time. It's pretty neat. And I got to share with you guys what my dream would be for this space right here. Poor John as I'm saying this, but I would love to have a spring house. I don't know, you guys, I'm sure a lot of you know what that is, but I grew up with my, both of my grandparents and a lot of my cousins, living on farms, and they all had these cute little spring houses. And I'll never forget the smell and just, the sound of the water trickling into the trough. And they would actually use that trough to cool food in. It was like their refrigerator. And of course, a lot of the reason I'd want one is for the visual. Just, it would look so cute in here. And this is the view, like when I'm washing dishes by the sink or working in the kitchen, this is the view that I have. Like this area is what I see from that front window. And I would love to have maybe store some of our gardening tools in the little building. And then of course I'd want a trough in here too and just have that sound of the water. And I'm not sure what all I do with it, but I just know I want one. And I know, we've talked about it already and kind of joke about it now and then about my spring house. I'll try to kind of bribe him into maybe making one for me. I don't know, maybe eventually we'll come up with something or just buy a little old building that someone wants to be rid of and convert it into a spring house, but I think it would be so neat. So I'll end the video here standing by the big tree and the picket fence. I could not be happier. I'm just loving how it looks. I can't wait until the plants, grow out more. They're still kind of puny looking. I still want to add some here and there, but for now, I'll just leave it this way. I can always work on adding more come fall time or maybe even next spring. I hope you guys are inspired to maybe use things you already have on your property. In this case, we live on rocks, so we have used a lot of rocks to landscape with, which is really nice. And then as far as the picket fence, just keep your eyes and ears open. Maybe you'll hear about someone that doesn't want something anymore that you can put to use. It's amazing what a little bit of paint can do. I hope you all are having a nice summer, and thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.